Greetings, LICI. My name is Marie Kroma Sharif. I am the chair of LICI's Grant Committee. On behalf of the committee, I want to say thank you to all the participants who have agreed graciously to participate in our mental health series. This video is being funded by the Ohio Department of Mental Health and Drug Addiction Services. We appreciate their funding. The goal for this video is for the participants to tell us about their experience with COVID-19. Some of the participants experienced COVID. We know that COVID is very deadly. It has caused a lot of mental health problems. Our goal is for all of us to seek some information that will be helpful to us from what they're relating to us about COVID. We appreciate this, and we thank you so much for listening to the participants.
My name is Eddie, and I'm a member of LICI.
Good afternoon. My name is Esther. I live here in Columbus, Ohio.
Well, my name is James Powell Kuna. I'm a resident of Canaan, Winchester. What I know for the LICI is that it is the umbrella organization governing Liberians within Columbus, or Ohio, so to speak.
LICI is a community organization that has been making efforts to bring the community together through supporting the youth.
It is a very good organization. I would think they are unified. They are doing everything to make sure that Liberians within the length and breadth of this state cater for, legally and every other measures possible.
LICI is a Liberian organization that is involved bringing people together, supporting one another, and I really admire this community a lot. I've been here for about 3 years in Columbus, and I'm trying to get more involved with this community.
It's a very good organization that all Liberians here should try to identify themselves with because it makes you feel at home.
Sure, when I first realized I had COVID-19, I was very scared because the virus is a nightmare. And at the time, in 2020 of April, the virus had just started, so there was not much known about this virus, and it was really killing people. So me being a part of the first group that had the virus, it was really scary. You have family, you have friends that waited to help you. They can't come any closer because this virus is a very selfish virus that can kill somebody in no time. So people were willing to help. They will come and drop food up at your doorsteps, and the support for the community was real.
Well, when I first realized I had COVID-19, I'm going to say it was scary because at the time in April 2020, there was really bad news coming from Italy and New York, and there was so much panic. So it was a really scary experience for me.
Well, that was very traumatic. The fact that the entire earth has come to a standstill, and everyone is afraid that the pattern of this entire, outbreak was very scary. So nobody wanted to be associated with anything that had to do with it, because the first thing that comes to mind is that I'm going to die, But it's different from the way people talked about it. It's different from the way I felt when I had it, because I was really normal. The only difference was, the loss of appetite. My smell sense was, absent, and then a little bit of fever started coming in and off and on. But those were the abnormalities. Nothing else about it. So except that when we were tested and said we're positive, and then I said, wow, then maybe the entire thing, the way people talked about it, it never reacted in me like that. So it's a disease that everybody wants to be afraid of. But I think you just need to be cautious. The aspect of fear should just be, completely just driven away, because it's a deadly disease. But then The fact is, I was afraid to tell people because of people's reaction. You know, how would they see me? I'm a breadwinner. And if people start to, disassociate themselves from me, and then I had to stay away from job for a couple of times because I wanted my sincerity not to extend beyond the borders, like going to job because I had to win, everything for my family. But I was also not going to be fair to the people out there, like the other people at my job. I was going to be passing it on to them. So I took on myself without somebody telling me. I just informed my job that I needed to do self quarantine and I had to stay home.
Well, I was excited to share that I had COVID-19 because virus, I didn't go out of the body, and I felt like sharing my experience or telling people could save many lives or did save many lives because people had knowledge about it and you have to go about it.
Well, I think it was okay for people to see that their friend, their brother, or their colleague had the virus because I believe some people were kind of skeptical. So it was kind of like an eye opener, and it was a form of awareness for people to understand that this was really real, and it wasn't something that was just being fabricated on TV.
Personally, I didn't want people to know because the reaction was the fact that I was very afraid that people were going to resent me. People were not going to be willing to come around because the way the whole thing started, nobody wanted to be associated with even your own wife if you heard she had it. But then that's what I said. I didn't want for people to know that I had it. But again, I look at it from the other point around. A closed mouth is never fed. So the good thing about it was that if you learn to communicate it to people, there are other people who probably want your route. And they want you in their experience to serve as a help for you. So I kind of discussed it with my pastor, and then he gave me his experience too, because he went the same route. When I discussed it with my brother who's not there, brother Tano Cooper, and then so I kind of reached out to the closest people, but not just anybody who was not my family member. All right, so that my fear was their reaction. For these people, I knew they would not anyway resent me because they were family members. But beyond that, I didn't want for people to know that's my sincerity, and that was not the right approach too, but that was just me not wanting for people to, take over. I avoided people at that time, even the ones that I share with, I avoided them not because I was afraid of their reaction, but because I was desperate. I mean, I was the carrier. So loving these people would mean staying away from them, or else I would be passing it on to them. So I did it not because I was afraid of them, but because I was loving them, not to pass the disease on over to them.
Oh yes, I learned a lot of lessons. One is living a healthy life. If you can, just try your little best to live a healthy life. It helps a lot. If I wasn't doing a little bit of physical activity then, maybe it would have been very bad. It was bad. Who knows? I would have been here. By the grace of God, I am here. But I learned that we should live a healthy life. Eat healthy as much as you can to support your immune system.
I learned that COVID COVID is a really serious virus because of the symptoms I had. Even though they weren't very severe, that was a lesson for me. Another thing was with I know of a member in the community that passed away from COVID, and I've spoken to people who had COVID and brushed it off and went home, and they had to be admitted in the ICU. So it's just I learned that COVID is a very strange virus.
What I would say to anybody, life is spiritual. And if you want to keep living, always learn to share whatever that is not normal in you. Because sometimes you think the journey you want to go alone, there are other people who could be helpful to you. It's always good to share what you have. No matter how bad it is, tell people because the fact that you're telling someone, somebody is going to tell you, I was down that road before. This is how I walked it. And this is what I did. and because of their experience, it could help you even alleviate the particular situation that has caused the heavy burden of trauma on your mind. So sharing it is the best option. I would tell people, don't keep it to yourself. You know, in the traditional saying, we Africans, we say, don't go to the hospital. That's why we said. And to be frank with you, I had that fear too. I didn't go to hospital for treatment. I just home treated myself. My wife and I, we did all of those crazy African things we would have done by the grace of God. The next time we tested, we were negative. All right, but that wouldn't be my recommendation because I'm not a medical person. Whatever necessary comes to the mind first is the approach you should take. But I would say don't keep it to yourself, share with other people.
I love my community and take care of yourself.
I just want to say to everyone that it's necessary to follow the CDC guidelines, especially if not for you, you could have it and be asymptomatic, but what about your colleagues? What about your family? What about you have older people in your family? One of my friends lost her uncle and her granddad, and it could happen to anyone. So this virus is real.
Well, I would just say Liberians, we are traditional people. Our upbringing has allowed us to do a lot of things contrary from medical principles, from some societal principles because of our upbringing. We came up, a lot of us were raised with the use of herbs or herbal treatment and stuff like that. Regardless of why it is, we are in an urbanized environment. First thing you want to do, always allow the medical medium to be the first when you are sick, because that's the best option. People who are trained, people who school to help you throughout the entire process are there and there for us. That's my advice to every Liberian out there watching me or listening to me. Thank you.
In conclusion, I would like to refer you to LICI's website. We have resources and information on programs we've done in the past so that you can use that to benefit you to understand COVID more. And if you have any questions, feel free to direct them to our president or the board of trustees or any member of the organization in an executive position. They'll be happy to answer your questions. Thank you and have a good day.